Hello everyone and welcome to the Young and the Restless official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that Summer Newman and Phyllis Summers may soon have a reason to bond again. Summer wouldn't even open the door to Phyllis when she tried to visit her daughter in Milan, but there's a good reason why she might change her tune. It's bad enough that Victor Newman kidnapped Jack Abbott as a strategy to get the Newman Empire back. Summer isn't going to be pleased since she cares about Jack, who also happens to be her boss since Marchetti is part of the Jabot umbrella. However, Y&R spoilers suggest Victor's chosen ally may really send Summer over the edge. Patty has done so many wild things over the years, including the time she intentionally triggered Summer's peanut allergy and caused a horrible reaction that nearly killed her. How could Victor sink as low as partnering with the woman who put his granddaughter in a coma and nearly wiped her off the map? That's a question Summer may want to ask Victor at some point. Regardless, Summer may start to see the situation from Phyllis's perspective. If Victor is the kind of person who'd abduct Jack and send Patty to seduce him, especially considering what she did to Summer all those years ago, Summer may have no use for him. Summer may switch sides and derail Victoria Newman's plan to totally turn her against Phyllis. Instead, Summer might turn against Victor and decide she supports Phyllis, taking his empire away from him. Victor shouldn't get a pass for all his terrible behavior while people like Phyllis get called out for every little thing. It's clear that Victor has gone too far this time, so maybe Summer will strike back and cut him out of her life for a while. Whatever the case, Victoria's Milan mission may end in disaster if the Victor-Patty alliance news makes its way to Italy soon enough. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Summer could easily switch things up and start supporting Phyllis, so stay tuned. In the glamorous yet emotionally complicated world of Genoa City, family loyalties have always been fragile things, easily shattered by betrayal, secrets, and the relentless pursuit of power. Now, the storm brewing between Summer Newman and her mother, Phyllis Summers, may finally reach a turning point, one born not from forgiveness alone, but from a shocking revelation that threatens to change everything. Not long ago, the tension between them had grown so bitter that when Phyllis traveled all the way to Milan hoping to see her daughter, Summer refused to even open the door. The silence between them was heavy, filled with unresolved pain and resentment that neither of them seemed ready to confront. Yet in Genoa City, circumstances have a way of shifting alliances when the truth begins to surface, and sometimes the very thing that drives people apart is the same force that ultimately brings them back together. Now, as new secrets rise to the surface, the distance between mother and daughter may slowly begin to close. At the center of the chaos, as always, stands the formidable and controversial patriarch of the Newman dynasty, Victor Newman. His ruthless pursuit of power has shaped countless lives in Genoa City, but this time even his most loyal family members may find themselves questioning just how far he's willing to go. In a move that stunned many and crossed a dangerous moral line, Victor resorted to kidnapping Jack Abbott, a calculated maneuver in his relentless campaign to regain control of the Newman Empire. For Victor, the act was merely another strategic play in the endless chess match of corporate dominance. But for those who care about Jack, especially Summer, the consequences feel deeply personal. After all, Jack isn't just a rival businessman or a name in Victor's long list of enemies. He's someone Summer genuinely respects and values, both professionally and personally. Summer's connection to Jack runs deeper than many realize. As part of the prestigious fashion house Marchetti, which now operates under the powerful umbrella of Jabot, Jack has effectively become Summer's boss and mentor. Their professional relationship has been built on trust and admiration, making Victor's actions feel like a betrayal that cuts closer to home than ever before. The idea that her own grandfather would abduct a man she respects and risk igniting yet another devastating feud may leave Summer shaken and furious. For someone who has always struggled to balance loyalty to her powerful family with her own sense of right and wrong, this situation may push her to a breaking point. And yet, as disturbing as Victor's actions already seem, an even darker twist in the story may be what finally forces Summer to confront the painful truth about where her loyalties truly lie. Because according to the whispers swirling through Genoa City, Victor hasn't acted alone. In fact, the ally he has chosen for this dangerous scheme may be the very person who triggers Summer's deepest fears and most traumatic memories. That ally is none other than the unpredictable and deeply troubled Patty Williams. For many residents of Genoa City, Patty's name alone carries a history of chaos and instability, a reminder of the countless destructive acts she has committed over the years. But for Summer, the memories tied to Patty are far more personal and far more terrifying. Years ago, Patty deliberately triggered Summer's severe peanut allergy, setting off a horrifying chain of events that nearly cost the young woman her life. The allergic reaction spiraled into a nightmare that left Summer fighting for survival and ultimately falling into a coma, a moment that shattered her family and nearly erased her future before it had truly begun. It was a traumatic chapter that no one who loves Summer has ever forgotten, least of all her mother. For Victor to now align himself with the very woman responsible for that tragedy feels almost unthinkable. How could he possibly justify partnering with someone who once nearly wiped his own granddaughter off the map? That question may soon echo loudly in Summer's mind, demanding an answer she's not sure she wants to hear. The more she reflects on Victor's choices, the harder it may become to reconcile the image of the powerful family protector with the man who seems willing to sacrifice anything and anyone for victory. If Victor truly orchestrated Jack's kidnapping and enlisted Patty in a scheme to seduce him, despite knowing the damage she once inflicted on Summer herself, then the betrayal may feel impossible to ignore. Suddenly, the lines between hero and villain in the Newman family's endless power struggle begin to blur, leaving Summer standing in the middle of a painful emotional crossroads. And in that moment of reckoning, something unexpected may happen inside her heart. For the first time in a long while, Summer might begin to see the world through Phyllis's eyes. For years, Phyllis has been criticized, judged, and blamed for every misstep she's made, while Victor often escapes the same scrutiny despite the magnitude of his actions. But now Summer may begin to realize that her mother's anger toward Victor isn't just reckless rebellion, it might actually be justified. The idea that Victor could get away with behavior this extreme while others are condemned for far less may strike Summer as deeply unfair. Slowly but surely, the resentment she once directed at Phyllis may begin to shift toward the man who has always demanded unwavering loyalty from his family. If that realization takes hold, it could completely alter the course of the Newman family's ongoing war. Instead of allowing herself to be manipulated into turning against her mother, Summer might do the unthinkable. She might choose Phyllis's side. The bond between them, strained and broken for so long, could begin to heal through their shared outrage at Victor's actions. What once felt like an impossible reconciliation may suddenly seem inevitable as both women unite against the same powerful enemy. And if Summer truly decides that Victor has crossed a line that cannot be forgiven, she may be willing to support something that would have once seemed unimaginable, helping Phyllis strip Victor of the empire he has spent his entire life building. For Victor, such a betrayal from his own granddaughter would be devastating, a reminder that even the strongest dynasties can fracture from within. Summer may decide that enough is enough, that the cycle of manipulation, cruelty, and unchecked power must finally face consequences. Cutting Victor out of her life, even temporarily, could become her way of drawing a boundary that he can no longer ignore. It would be a bold and painful choice, but one that reflects her growing determination to define her own moral compass rather than blindly following the Newman legacy. Meanwhile, across the ocean in Italy, another critical piece of the puzzle is quietly unfolding. Victoria Newman has embarked on a carefully planned mission in Milan, hoping to influence Summer's perspective and ensure that her loyalty remains firmly with the Newman family. Victoria's strategy depends on keeping Summer aligned against Phyllis, reinforcing the narrative that Phyllis is the true source of chaos and instability. But if the shocking truth about Victor's alliance with Patty reaches Milan before Victoria can secure her victory, the entire plan could collapse in an instant. Because once Summer learns that Victor has teamed up with the woman who nearly killed her, everything may change. The carefully constructed arguments, the manipulations, and the family pressure may suddenly lose their power in the face of such a shocking betrayal. Victoria's mission, designed to solidify the Newman family's control, could end not in triumph but in disaster. And in the unpredictable world of the young and the restless, one thing has always been certain: when secrets explode into the open, the fallout can reshape relationships, alliances, and destinies in ways no one ever expected. Now the question hanging in the air is simple but explosive. When Summer finally learns the truth, which side will she choose? Will she continue standing with the powerful Newman dynasty that shaped her life, or will she turn toward the mother she once pushed away, forging a new alliance built on shared outrage and painful truth? Whatever decision she makes, one thing is clear: the balance of power in Genoa City may be about to shift in a way no one saw coming. And when the dust finally settles, the consequences of Victor's latest move could ripple through the Newman family for years to come. As the tension quietly spreads across continents, the emotional storm surrounding Summer Newman begins to intensify in ways no one could have predicted. Far from Genoa City, Milan had once felt like a safe distance from the endless drama of the Newman Empire. A place where Summer could focus on her career, her ambitions, and the fashion house she had worked so hard to lead. Yet even thousands of miles away, the shadow of the Newman family still looms large, threatening to pull her back into conflicts she once tried desperately to escape. The silence between Summer and her mother, Phyllis Summers, had seemed like the final chapter in a painful story of betrayal and disappointment. When Phyllis arrived in Milan hoping for reconciliation, Summer's refusal to even open the door had spoken volumes about the depth of her anger. But the world of Genoa City is rarely simple, and sometimes the most powerful shifts in loyalty begin not with forgiveness but with outrage. Back in the heart of the Newman dynasty, the consequences of Victor Newman's latest move continue to ripple outward like shockwaves. Victor has built his reputation on strength, strategy, and an unwavering belief that power must always be protected at any cost. For decades, his family has watched him dominate every battlefield, corporate, personal, and emotional, through sheer force of will. But this time, the line he crossed may be one even his own family cannot ignore. Kidnapping Jack Abbott was already a move that pushed the boundaries of morality, even by Victor's ruthless standards. Jack may be Victor's rival, but he is also a man respected throughout Genoa City, someone whose influence stretches far beyond boardrooms and corporate rivalries. For Summer, the situation feels far more personal than Victor may have anticipated. Through her role at Marchetti, which operates under the powerful umbrella of Jabot, Jack has become an important figure in her life. Their professional relationship carries mutual respect and trust, something that Summer values deeply in a world where manipulation and power plays are far too common. Learning that her own grandfather targeted Jack so ruthlessly may shake her sense of family loyalty to its core. It forces her to confront an uncomfortable truth that the same man who claims to protect his family might also be capable of betraying their values when it serves his ambitions. And as disturbing as that realization already is, the next revelation may strike even deeper into Summer's heart. Because Victor's most shocking decision may not be the kidnapping itself, but the ally he has chosen to carry out part of his plan, that ally, the deeply troubled and unpredictable Patty Williams, carries a dark history that no one close to Summer could ever forget. Patty's past actions have left scars across Genoa City, but for Summer, the memories are far more intimate and terrifying. Years ago, Patty deliberately exploited Summer's severe peanut allergy, triggering a violent allergic reaction that spiraled into a medical nightmare. The incident nearly cost Summer her life, leaving her in a coma and sending shockwaves through everyone who loved her. It was a moment of terror and helplessness that no family should ever have to endure. To imagine Victor knowingly working alongside the very woman responsible for that trauma may feel like an unforgivable betrayal. For years, the Newman patriarch has positioned himself as the ultimate protector of his family, someone who would go to any length to defend those he loves. Yet this alliance tells a very different story, one where strategy and vengeance matter more than the emotional wounds left behind. When Summer eventually learns that Victor has partnered with the woman who once nearly killed her, the revelation could ignite a fury unlike anything he has ever seen from his granddaughter. It raises a haunting question that refuses to fade. How could Victor align himself with someone who once put his own granddaughter in mortal danger? As the truth begins to surface piece by piece, Summer may find herself re-evaluating everything she once believed about the people closest to her. For so long, she has kept her distance from Phyllis, convinced that her mother's impulsive decisions and chaotic behavior were the source of endless conflict. But now, for the first time, she may start to see the situation through her mother's eyes. Phyllis has spent years clashing with Victor, often painted as the reckless outsider who refuses to respect his authority. Yet Victor's latest actions suggest that his own moral compass may be far more questionable than anyone wanted to admit. Slowly, almost reluctantly, Summer might begin to realize that her mother's anger toward Victor was never just about personal grudges. It may have been rooted in a deeper truth, that Victor's pursuit of power often comes at the expense of everyone around him. The more Summer reflects on the kidnapping, the manipulation, and the shocking alliance with Patty, the harder it becomes to defend the man she once admired. That growing awareness may stir something powerful inside her, something that begins to reshape the emotional distance she placed between herself and Phyllis. In a twist that could send shockwaves through the entire Newman family, Summer may decide she can no longer stand quietly by while Victor continues to operate without consequences. Instead of allowing herself to be pushed further away from her mother, she may begin to gravitate back toward Phyllis, drawn together by shared outrage and painful memories. Their fractured relationship, once buried beneath resentment and silence, could slowly begin to mend under the weight of this new betrayal. And if that reconciliation happens, it may lead Summer to support something that would once have seemed impossible: Phyllis's fight to take Victor's empire away from him. Such a decision would represent more than just a family disagreement. It would signal a profound shift in the balance of power within the Newman dynasty. For Victor, loyalty has always been the foundation of his control over those closest to him. The idea that his own granddaughter might turn against him, choosing justice and principle over blind family allegiance, would strike at the very heart of everything he believes in. Summer cutting Victor out of her life, even temporarily, would send a powerful message that his actions have consequences no amount of power can erase. Meanwhile, far away in Milan, Victoria Newman continues her carefully orchestrated mission to influence Summer's thinking. Victoria believes she can guide her niece back into the Newman fold, ensuring that the family remains united against the chaos Phyllis often brings. Her plan depends on convincing Summer that Phyllis is the real threat, the unpredictable force that must be kept at a distance. But Victoria's strategy rests on fragile ground because it assumes that Victor's actions will remain hidden long enough for her persuasion to work. If the truth about Victor's alliance with Patty reaches Milan before Victoria secures Summer's loyalty, the entire plan could unravel in an instant. The revelation would shatter the narrative Victoria has been carefully constructing, replacing it with a far more troubling reality. Instead of pushing Summer further away from Phyllis, it might drive her straight back into her mother's arms. And in the unpredictable, emotionally charged world of the young and the restless, such a shift could trigger a chain reaction that no one in Genoa City is prepared to face. Because when secrets explode into the open in this world, they rarely affect just one relationship. They reshape families, redraw alliances, and expose the fragile foundations of even the most powerful dynasties. If Summer ultimately chooses to stand beside Phyllis rather than Victor, it won't simply be a moment of personal rebellion. It will be a declaration that the era of unquestioned Newman authority may finally be cracking. And as the storm continues to build, one thing becomes increasingly clear. The fallout from Victor's shocking decisions is only just beginning, and the emotional reckoning that follows could change the future of Genoa City forever.